Vice Chancellor, distinguished faculty, fellow graduates, families, guests, and friends. Professor Chanjit Man, thank you for your deeply moving oratory and for the generosity and grace with which you have introduced me at this gathering. I'm deeply grateful to the University of Strathclyde for this honorary doctorate. I accept it with humility and with gratitude to my family, friends, and the many communities whose courage has shaped my life. I'm especially moved to receive this honor from a university known as a place of useful learning, an institution whose degrees are not only symbols of academic achievement, but instruments of practical knowledge, public purpose, and positive change. Strathclyde's distinction is reflected in its Queen's Anniversary Prizes for higher and further education in 2019 and 2021, its recognition as Times Higher Education University of the Year in 2012 and 2019, and its honor as Scottish University of the Year in 2020 by the Times and the Sunday Times. These awards affirm a university whose teaching, research, and partnerships serve society and prepare graduates to make meaningful difference in the world. I want to congratulate the graduates. Today is your day. As Professor Chanjit Man has said, our graduating students are our future. Your degree carries your effort and the love and sacrifice of families, friends, sponsors, university staff, and professors. It also carries Strathclyde's promise that learning must be useful to society, to justice, to innovation, and to the making of a better world. May you never forget that achievement is never solitary. It is always held by many hands. I also pay tribute to the people of Glasgow, whose solidarity with South Africa's struggle for freedom will never be forgotten. Long before apartheid fell, this city chose moral courage. Glasgow was the first city in the world to confer the freedom of the city on Nelson Mandela, while he was still imprisoned, and later renamed the street of the South African consulate as Nelson Mandela Place. Those acts were more than symbolic. They told prisoners, exiles, and oppressed people that we are not alone. They remind us that solidarity can travel across oceans, enter prisons, disturb injustice, and help bend history towards freedom. My mother was an educator. She believed, as this university believes, that education is a tool of liberation. But liberation from what? From ignorance, from fear, from the smallness of believing that our lives belong only to ourselves. Education teaches us to see more clearly, act more bravely, and serve more generously. As you begin your careers or continue your studies, I offer you words from Howard Thurman that guided me. And he said, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. But coming alive must never mean living only for ourselves. What is the use of being fully alive if we are untouched by suffering around us? The value most needed in our time is empathy. Empathy is not a soft virtue. It is a courageous one. The power to feel the wound of another, and then to act. It is the first step towards human solidarity, the bridge beyond fear, indifference, and the narrow borders of self. This is the wisdom of Ubuntu. Umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu. A person is a person through other people. Ubuntu teaches that my humanity is held in yours, that none of us rises alone, and that the measure of success is how many we are willing to carry with us. In our time, this truth demands an urgent response to the movement of people across the world, families driven from home by poverty, conflict, climate change, and inequality, and to the xenophobia that too often turns suffering into suspicion. So I ask you, graduates, what kind of world will you help us build? Imagine boldly a world where borders do not become walls around compassion, where the stranger is met not with fear, but recognition, where nations do not compete in cruelty, but cooperate in care. Imagine a world built in the spirit of Ubuntu, solidarity, shared responsibility, and generous human cooperation. Then help make that world possible. My own journey began in high school when teachers urged us to open our eyes to injustice. My teachers were a great part of raising my awareness to the injustices of the time. It was my teachers who encouraged me to apply to medical school, and my first meeting with a great Black consciousness student leader and mentor who influenced many of us deeply, Steve Biko, and the South African Students' Organization, which taught me that liberation is not given to people. It is made by people who become active agents in their own freedom. One of my teachers, Miss Llewellyn, came from Wales. We called her Hlu for short. She sent an appeal for donations which funded my entry and year at medical school, and later to Fort Hare University. This is what human solidarity represents for me. When people who did not even know me were able to dig deep for my tertiary education. Another lesson for me is expect the best. I did not expect to become a Deputy Minister of Defense. I am a Quaker and a pacifist with no military background. But where does peace begin, if not in the courage to enter dialogue with those we may once have regarded as enemies? Later, as Deputy Minister of Health during the HIV pandemic, I learned that conscience sometimes asks a higher price. When people were being denied life-prolonging ARV medicines, I stood with the vulnerable. It brought me into conflict with power, but speaking truth to power helped change policy and save lives. That is what education and leadership must be for us, not for status, but service, not for comfort, but courage. Graduates, you inherit a world of great beauty and great danger. Will you wait for perfect certainty before you act, or will you begin where you are, with what you have, and with whom you can? Find what makes you come alive, but join it to justice. Let your learning become courage. Let your success become service. Let your empathy become solidarity. I end with the words of Audre Lorde, who said, "When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I'm afraid." Thank you.